Earth, we also have the power and we can cool it down. So I'm not going to tell you about the status of our planet, what we need to do. This is something that's very obvious, and that's literally why we're all here right now. But what I do want to talk about is the solution and what we can actually do to contribute for the solution. We focus on Africa. The reason that we do that is because Africa is a continent of the youth, being the median age of 19.7, with millions of hectares of land to regreen and a lot of smallhold farmers that are ready to accept the new regreening revolution. Our methods are actually very clear, easy, and does not require any fancy education or equipment to execute. One of our techniques is called rainwater harvesting. This is actually where we use our shovels and our diggers to create bunds. So the rain that used to wants to basically flood over the land, we use it to be retained to bring back vegetation. So what we do is that we break open the top layer, the hard layer of the earth, allowing the rainwater to infiltrate into the ground, bringing back vegetation within a short period of time. And we do this with the local community and the local stakeholders. So this is a very simple time lapse that will actually show you how we do those bund digging. So first we do, you see that it's the dry season, and then after the bunds are dug, the first rain arrive, and then you see the water retention. You start getting few vegetations here and there. And then you see that most of the vegetation is mainly concentrated around the bunds. And then through time, the vegetation spreads. And then when we go back to the same season, just 1 year later, it's still the dry season, but the area is fully covered with vegetation, showing that this technique is actually very simple and executable for the local team. So far, we've dug more than 180,000 bunds in Kenya. Our second method, this is the one that we use in Tanzania, called kisiki hai. This is a very simple pruning technique that farmers can easily execute within their farmland, whether it's small or big. It's easily doable. And this is how we practice agroforestry. But to do the kisiki hai, you really need to get the buy-in from the smallhold farmers, meaning that we have to be able to communicate, inspire, and activate those smallhold farmers to execute the techniques in a long-term span and own the responsibility and the power to regreen their farms. So far in Tanzania, we've brought back more than 6.3 million trees within the last 4 years. Now, we can't achieve all those things by ourselves because this is not a challenge for only one organization. This is something that we have to do together with the community, meaning that we really need to work on our communication strategy. This is why we use, for example, out-of-home campaigns with real farmers adapted to the local language and making sure that the content actually comes from the farmers and not from ourselves. The other one is our SMS services. So for farmers who are working and don't have the time to sit down, listen to our radio program or any other communication, we continuously send them SMS, letting them know, for example, if it's the harvesting season, what's the best technique that they can easily apply, or if it's just a holiday, to even say congratulations and happy holidays. We also have our regreening app, I will cover extensively later on. The other one is our radio programs. This is where we invite real local farmers to come to be part of the radio programs, really addressing their issues and also the solution. That way you have a locally owned and locally led insightful discussions within our radio program. And also, we also have brand ambassadors. Those ambassadors brings the fun to the information, allowing us to have an infotainment approach to our communication. Last but not least, and this is our most effective communication tool, which is our movie Roadshow. This is what we do from village to village with a moving cinema. But this is not just about showing them a documentary. This is a point where the whole community come together, where we have a full day session which involves music and dancing and, of course, videos that actually shows the journey of different farmers and the challenges and the solutions, really the story being narrated by themselves. So this is one of our most effective one that really allowed us to scale up our regreening techniques. And we've prepared a very short video to just kind of tell you and show you visually what I've been telling you about so far.
What if we could spread an idea that teaches us to value our environment so that tree stumps can grow to become actual trees? Through media and communication, we can inspire and activate millions of farmers to restore their land. And together, we can truly make a meaningful impact.
I don't fear failing. I don't also believe and don't prefer rushing without thinking. But if you wait for clear answers on everything, you'll never get there. Do it. That's what I found with JustDiggit. They are people of action more than of words.
One thing which we came up with together with JustDiggit is the video caravan, which is a way of addressing the issue through cinema. So we are going around every village with a nice documentary about FMNR, which address the problem to the villagers, but also teach them how to practice FMNR, but also explain the benefits of FMNR.
These people are very happy to see that there's a van coming out with all this loud music. So it's more of entertainment and getting the message at the same time for the people.
We are focusing on Dodoma region, but the good thing with Gisikihai is that it has a self-propelling factor, and it will spread like jungle fire once it gets roots with the people, sharing from farmer to farmer, from region to region. I believe in 3 years to come, the impact will be greater than what we are planning in our paperwork. Where we have reached now is a point of no return. Everyone, it can be done. Play your part.
As you can clearly see, I'm standing here because of a certain urgency. I'm a good friend of JustDiggit. I'm a director, and I have an earth sciences background. Now, during my studies, we used to do a lot of field work. We would go to the Alps, we would go to Spain, and we would go to Iceland. And what's important about that experience during my studies was that instead of looking at landscapes for what I could measure, as a filmmaker and having love for film, I could look at landscapes for what I loved about them. Now, the thing is, my professors, they kind of made a lot of fun of me, but I do think what is really important about that experience is that I got to watch these landscapes from an aesthetic and storytelling point of view, as you could have seen in this film that we just saw. And I honestly think that that's where we can add fuel to the fire, pun intended, in trying to curb climate change. Now, the important thing here is that, as you've experienced in the film that we just saw, that if we build a bigger intrinsic love for our environment, we will be incentivized to protect it. And that is because we humans protect that which we love. Now, you do understand that in my heart there is this raging question that is from both a scientific point of view, because that is my background, but also from an aesthetic point of view, because that is what I love to do, filmmaking. And that question is, what if we could start telling our stories a little different? Through not only making people understand the numbers of climate change, but also to make them feel it in their bones. David Attenborough came with a beautiful, beautiful quote. Saving our planet is a communications challenge, and if enough people want change and take action, a sustainable future is within our grasp. And I honestly think that storytelling can add a lot. Now, to answer my question, I've made a film to show you guys how that could feel like. And I think telling our stories a little bit different could feel a lot like this.
We've entered an age in which landscape degradation is so severe that African countries have jointly vowed to restore its precious soils. An age of deprivation, of drought, indeed, but more importantly, an age of realization. Are we aware? Are we aware of 54% of African soil slowly being turned to nothing but agglutinated dust? Economic downturn as a result of a global pandemic driving these lands into deep, deep recession. Are we aware? Are we aware of creeping deserts, failing crops, loss of fertile ground, wetlands, cattle? The list doesn't stop. But above all, are we aware that we as a people have overcome such hurdles?
Mangi water, nyepuche, adena, kuigor, kuijige, mangi water.
An ancient Kenyan proverb says, yule ambaye mbegu hazijaota, haachi kupanda. One whose seeds have not sprouted does not give up planting. May I present to you the Grand African Green Up, our decade on ecosystem restoration.
Now, allow me to cite a quote from a respected historian and writer, Yuval Noah Harari. He says, Homo sapiens is a storytelling animal that thinks in stories rather than in numbers or graphs. We believe that the universe itself works like a story, complete with its villains and its heroes, its conflicts and its resolutions, its climaxes and its happy endings. And when we, as Homo sapiens, look for the meaning of life, we want a story that will explain what reality is all about and what our particular role is in this cosmic drama. This role makes us a part of something bigger than ourselves. It gives us meaning to our experiences and choices. It's kind of a lot, right? It's a mouthful. But that is exactly what we're doing with JustDiggit. We're making people part of the solution by telling just the right story. We're creating this system of belief, which is much more powerful than just the numbers in our paperwork. And that is exactly what we're doing with this film that you just saw. It's called The Grand African Green Up. It's a film that builds a love for the African continent, and right now it's being broadcasted in 53 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And that, honestly, is where telling the right story with just the right emotion could be the leverage that we need for the next generation of politicians, of business owners, of activists, and our youth. Because storytelling can reestablish our relationship with our environment and our relationship with ourselves.
Global warming is moving in fast, and we only have 10 years to act. Our solution is regreening. By restoring degraded land, we can revive vegetation, all the while cooling down our planet. In Africa, we restored 60,000 hectares of land and brought back 6 million trees already. Time to act up, speed up, scale up. This is the decade of doing. If 350 million African farmers are empowered, the mother continent can be regreened in the coming 10 years. So dig in, move the masses, tell your story and convince the critics. Dig in, make some noise, spread the word and inform your readers. Dig in, mobilize your fans and inspire a new generation. Fathers, mothers, children, everyone. Regreening is done together, and we've got a decade to do it. So let's do this. Dig in.
So, as we can see, and I think we can all agree, that we're all in this together and everybody needs to dig in to contribute to the solution. Which is why partnerships and relationships really become the essential key for the right communication. Effective communication only happens when you have the right story to tell, coupled with reach. People have to be reached. People need to see what's out there and communicate in a positive manner that inspires, activates, and motivates everybody to be part of the solution. Which is why we work with partners. Different partners such as JustDiggit, Blow Up, Havas Group. By working with those communication giants, they have allowed us to create not only the most impactful stories, but reach beyond our capability as a small organization, like I mentioned at the beginning. So for example, just to give you a clear example, with JustDiggit, this year we've launched the coming decade as the most crucial decade for our planet with the UN. So with our announcement of the UN decade, JustDiggit has allowed us to create visibility in more than 26 African countries, countries, also African and European-led campaigns. But also with partners such as Blow Up, we've been able to communicate different kind of content that really inspires and activates the youth. Because the truth is, the future belongs to the youth and we need to mobilize and activate them. So when we have the right story with the right partners, creating visibility and making sure that we inspire and activate, we actually can sustain the impact and the positive messaging that we are all striving to achieve. Now, at the beginning, I said we're a very small NGO with very big ambition. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but in Africa, there are more than 350 million smallhold farmers. That's a lot of farmers to reach. But one thing that we've learned as JustDiggit is that we've noticed that through the system that we're currently operating, scaling up and being able to reach those 350 million smallhold farmers could be a challenge. So we started looking for the new revolution that's happening in Africa, which is the mobile revolution. So by combining our expertise, very simple, like I said, executable, easy to apply techniques with the mobile revolution that's happening in Africa, we aim to reach the 350 smallhold farmers, 50 million smallhold farmers all around Africa through our Regreening app. So this is the program where we call Moving Beyond. So by making sure that we reach our farmers with executable techniques that whether if you're from Togo, Madagascar, or from Ethiopia, you can easily apply those techniques, meaning that you create the revolution of regreening within our continent and be able to reach our AFR 100 pledge to restore more than 120 million hectares of land within the coming decade. So we have a short video, please have a look.
There are over 350 million smallholder farmers in Africa, more than the entire population of the USA. Imagine, if we could reach them all and inspire them to regreen their lands using simple mobile technology. Imagine the impact on climate, nature, and people, and the massive impact on nearly all the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Billions of trees restored, over 125 million hectares regreened. That's over 5 times the landmass of the United Kingdom. food security and improved livelihoods for millions, and billions of tons of CO2 captured. This really is possible.
Now, there is another concept to be talked about, which is called Stream to Regreen. I think this is JustDiggit's newest concept, which kind of warms my heart. What we do with Stream to Regreen is we use the behavior of the youth, which is streaming and listening to music. We work with a big artist. In this case, it was the #7 DJ of the world, Don Diablo, and a very big rapper, Ty Dolla $ign. We made a song, we made a video clip, and the proceeds of the streams will then go to the projects that we support.
So basically what this means is that for every 25 streams, we will regreen 1 square meter of land. Now, we're very specific about those details because listeners need to know what they're actually listening to and what it contributes towards. We don't want to say we'll regreen a land because that way we're creating skeptics. So we actually dare to say that for every 25 streams, we promise to regreen we promise to regreen 1 square meter of land with those music and those tracks that we've created. So those are actually going on right now, and so far we've had millions of streams, and it's going really, really like a wildfire. And we do believe that the future of communication also lies with music and empowering the youth.
Another project is the film that I already discussed. It is called The Grand African Green Up. It is a film about landscape restoration in sub-Saharan Africa, and it discusses the goals of the countries that are in the AFR 100. The end goal is to restore to productivity 126 million hectares of land. And what we will be trying here, and what we are trying in this film, is to convince the people of sub-Saharan Africa to simply regreen their land.
A little over a third of the climate crisis can be solved by nature-based solutions. Landscape restoration is not just a solution for the African continent.
After this, I do this, right?
The world's forests, along with its oceans, absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide circulating in our atmosphere. Congo's mighty rainforest, along with the Amazon, are effectively the Earth's lungs. And protecting these lungs is the crucial task at hand. Ecosystems support all life on Earth. So the healthier our ecosystems are, the healthier the planet and its people will be. As part of our restoration initiative, the Democratic Republic of Congo has pledged to restore millions of hectares of degraded land in the next decade. Across our continent, these examples exist not only in the Congo. Countries such as Tanzania, Madagascar, Ghana, Kenya, and Senegal have similar ambitions. Today's urge to protect and restore damaged ecosystems has never been more crucial. The natural world sustains all life on Earth, and with healthier ecosystems, we become a healthier species. Landscape restoration is the mandatory future investment that affects and yields its profits along every step of the way. The task at hand is to restore to productivity 126 million hectares of African soil within the next decade. A fulfillment of the great responsibility bestowed on a continent that proudly thrives on tomorrow.
I think right now we kind of understand that we are all here under the flag of aspirational protest. As I said in the beginning, I'm not a man of big words, and I'm not very much a man that sits at conferences and nods heads. But I think everybody in this place kind of has the same goal. But I would like to say one thing. Our aspirational protest must and has to be followed up by tangible change. I think honestly, each and every one of us in this room has a part to play in that. Our part is telling the right stories. And I'd have you think about yours. Thank you. Did that.
So we have a little over 3 minutes for any questions, whether it's from the audience or from our virtual viewers. If you have questions, speak now.
Oh,
we're that good?
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks very much. That was a great presentation and beautiful films as well.
For the Dutch children.
Yeah.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah. I think so.
I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more about JustDiggit and what you offer to farmers. So you give training and information on sort of regreening, but I was wondering how that works with like their resources. So if they have to forgo their day-to-day farming, what's offered to them to make this possible?
Yeah. That's a very good question. So with JustDiggit, what we do is that we try to very much stay away from this top-down educational system where we tell them this is good for your farm. What we do is we work with local organizations who are also working on the ground that really knows the cultural concept, the need, and so that they can serve the farmers a little bit more in depth. So what we do is that we train champion farmers. So farmers who've been struggling with the similar effects on their land, we train them, they see the results, so they go through the whole experience and they become the advocates. So they go into their respected communities, go there and show them that actually regreening works, or agroforestry in this case really works. So what we do is that instead of doing it a one-sided communication, we try to involve the local community and kind of create that learning and sharing experience within themselves. Of course, we support with facilities and communications, but also our techniques are actually quite self-explanatory and easily doable because, like I said, it doesn't really require any fancy equipment. So by doing that, we make it easier, we make it scalable, and we make it relatable by really working with the local community. I don't know if that answers your question fully. Perfect. Any other questions?
Hello, I'm Katie Barker. I'm from Colorado State University and the Livable Future podcast. And I love storytelling as part of this whole solution and kind of scaling up through your communication resources. I wonder what your process is for getting locals involved in the creation process, so it's them telling the story. Yeah, so like I kind of touched upon earlier, what we do is, first of all, we don't go into a specific location and start invading and saying, okay, this is what we need to do. What we do is that we do a lot of thorough research in really understanding what the challenges are and which techniques really apply for that specific community. And then what we move on with training the champion farmers and building the local district coordinators that really facilitate the farmers. And then we kind of gradually build that communication system and so that they can embrace it. So then it doesn't feel like an invasion, but more of a collaboration. And that's basically how we do from the ground up, is that we take the local problem, but with the local solution, and we just kind of, feed it, nurture it, and let it grow from there onwards. Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you. So I see that we're out of time. Thank you so much for listening to us and being a wonderful audience. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you for attending. The event is now over. Please vacate the Action Hub so our team can clean the room.